All right, Matt fam, we got more questions about The Walking Dead Season 9, so I'm just going to dive straight into this so we can kind of pick up from the previous Q&A video. Next up, we have a question from Tyler Barton. What do you think happened to the Sanctuary, and do you think that other saviors will fight with the survivors against the Whisperers during the Whisperer War? I don't believe there's any other saviors out there except for the ones that are already kind of in the other communities. I got the feeling that the Sanctuary went bust, so there's no one really there, and they're trimming the fat, getting rid of communities we really don't need to see, because there's other communities, new communities especially coming up, that play a bigger part in the story. So for the TV show, it would make sense to trim the fat in that way. And I did get the feel that the saviors that were uncooperative in the comic storyline, even though it was a very longer version of what we got in the show, or a lengthy version of that, I think it was a real chopped remix where they said, this is what we're doing, Carol's going to burn them up, and that's it. That's how I kind of feel. And there might be other saviors out there, but for the most part, they will most likely assimilate with the other communities. I don't know if the way that it's set up now, I don't know if it does anything for the story if they're out there and they're not, with the communities and fighting and helping them tackle the new villain, Next up, Josh Berry. Ronnie, what if RJ is not Rick's kid? This ought to be a good one. In the comic, there is a love triangle with a pregnancy by a different man, and the woman is forced to admit it. What if Michonne had a quickie or was raped? Did she get that X scar and get pregnant in an attack? No, I don't think. I think the X scar will be something a little more purposeful. Yeah, if it wasn't if she gets that scar from an attack, it would have to be more like a branding than anything, because that's a pretty purposeful X. As far as RJ not being Rick's, it's definitely Rick's. Not only did they confirm it, but that would destroy everything they've already built up story-wise just for a aha moment, So it's definitely his. David Hunt, if you could kill off 3 characters who are still alive and bring back 3 dead characters, who would it be and why? Well, we'll burn through this one quick. I don't really do hypotheticals, but or anything that can't actually happen on the show, but I would obviously, the why is easy. I would get rid of characters I don't like for characters I do like more. I'd probably want to bring back someone like Glenn, Rick, obviously. Glenn, Rick, and Abraham. As far as characters I could kill off, just pick some characters that we recognize their faces, but we might not even remember their names. A girl from Oceanside, pick somebody from the Hilltop, pick Tara. I think she ran her course. I think somewhere along the lines of Maggie and Glenn's storyline, there should have been something there. They were the connective tissue, and with both of them gone, especially with Rick gone now too, she's losing a lot of that connective tissue. She's just kind of fallen into the background. So I think her time is up, really. Anyway, Rosanna Limlaw, do you think that the Whisperers will be identified in season 9, or are they going to be revealed in the season finale of The Walking Dead? Now, I think they'll be revealed, but in the second half. I hope it's not too soon. I know everyone wants that now, and I get it, we're excited, but part of the reason why the Whisperer storyline was so great in the comic is that slow build up and those creepy moments. You gotta hit those creepy moments leading up to the reveal. Imagine if we get the reveal right off the bat next episode. The only creepy moment we have is one, 10-second moment where we hear some whispers. That's it. No, we need a few more. So I don't want to see any face reveals of any villain characters until at least episode 12, or 13. Not before that, unless they do something where it's Whisperer heavy for an episode or two, like the next 2 episodes, and they cover a lot of ground. Then okay, sure, we can get it sooner. Connor L8R. Ronnie, when do you think we will see Beta? I'm hoping it's second half of season 9. Oh, I agree. I think so. They cast him for season 9 second half, so he's definitely in it. I think it's just they're taking their time getting there, setting it up nice. Q&A Okay, this is a long one. Yusgashti. I screwed that name all to hell. Geely is the last name. I have a theory and I don't like it, but I'm worried I might be right, and I like your opinion on it. Do you know how they are remixing events? Remember in the comic, Michonne is raped and tortured by the governor? Well, I'm worried that her ex is some sadistic mark from a leader or warlord that came in the time skip, and if that happened to her, it's how she lost RJ. If he is actually a hallucination, please give me some comfort and tell me I'm off base. That would be all. Oh yeah, you're way off base. I mean, you're so wrong. I'll take pleasure in telling you how wrong you are, just because you wanted me to. But yeah, you're way wrong. First off, they already confirmed it. It's 100% Rick's kid. It's 100% her actual kid. As far as a hallucination and her losing. This is a legacy character where there's potential for storyline ahead. Imagine if this was just a random hallucination for her. This would be just one of those little a 2-second shock and awe moment. That's it. So I don't think they would do that, especially with the build-up. If they do that, that's a terrible idea. Doris Bird says or asks, it looks to me like maybe Daryl stayed near the bridge where he lost his last brother. What do you think? Yeah, I think that's accurate. Q&A. Having seen The Walking Dead after the massive time jump and 6 years after Rick's death, has your opinion changed in regards to why they killed off Carl? It seems like he would have been an excellent fit for the story right now. Victor Dominguez Tomas de Silva. Yeah, here's the funny thing. My opinion is still the same pretty much, and I'll cover that in a second. But the thing with Carl, a lot of people say like, oh, he was aging too fast and yada, yada, yada. This would have been perfect. This would have aged him 6 years. So you could have trimmed his hair and had him looking like he aged, had all this going on, whoop-de-whoop. I don't see any other reason. I'm sorry, but Negan and Rick's, the connection there, it doesn't do it for me. They could have had a simple connection where they needed Law and Order and what comes next. Families and what's going to, how do we live in this world if all we do is, oh, your problem, I'm going to shoot you in the face. No, Law and Order would have been the perfect solution for keeping Negan alive. Literally the perfect and easiest solution without having to kill a character. It's laid out so perfectly. It's like the puzzle pieces just fit. So I do believe that whoever was in charge of making that call did not believe Carl, and he would have been, if Rick was being killed off or Rick was leaving, a lot of people would have looked to Carl as the legacy character to fill that slot and lead the show and be the leading man, so to speak. I don't think they thought he could do it. And if you look at it now, they got rid of Carl for Judith. It's a direct trade, whether you want to admit it or not. It is. It's 100%. She's big on the poster. I mean, it is. They traded Carl for Judith straight up. And like I said before, whether it's simply in 2018, there's all this stupid shit online, and it's mostly online, normal people out and about in the real world. I never hear them talking about this shit. It's always online, but it's always bickering about men and women and this and this and this. It wouldn't shock me in this day and age if they just did a gender swap because it's 2018. Duh. But also, I do think they didn't believe his range as an actor could carry the show, and a lot of fans would have looked to Carl as that legacy character. So, but if you guys want to put your thoughts and opinions about that topic, especially in the comment box below, I don't see any real reason other than they didn't think he'd be able to handle the that type of leading role. Anyway, Omega Path presents. Any thoughts on the event that everyone kept referring to, talking about why Michonne wouldn't let the new group stay? They would say things like, she's not the same ever since, but they never give specifics. It's with Rick and the bridge. I got the feeling that they weren't talking about what happened to Rick, but a separate event, perhaps related to her new scar. What are your thoughts, Jeff Madry? Yeah, I just think it's simply Rick and the bridge. That was the big event, and then time skipped. You know what I'm saying? So when we see these characters again, that's directly what they're going to relate to. Unless they want to throw something in there and have it to where we think, obviously, they're talking about the bridge, but here there was some other event. And it would kind of make sense if after the bridge they took in a group and something went bad and it was a breach of security. Yeah, it would fit. So sure, I'll give you guys a little bit of leeway there. It is possible there could be an event that happened after. I just feel like with how packed the story is right now, having a mini event that's going to affect whether or not they take the Magnus new group in there, I think that is just convoluted. For the writing, for the writers to sit there and think they need something in there, because listen, we're zipping right into the Whispers. We don't need any other, crap stuffed in there with the Magnus storyline. But it could be in there. I give you that. It definitely could be in there. Q&A. Who will take Comic Rick's talk with Alpha in the TV show? It would have to be Michonne, right? Not necessarily. Definitely not necessarily. I don't feel like Carol fits. The Daryl is too quiet and blunt. I could maybe see Ezekiel, but that just feels a little off. Riley White. It does appear that they are separating Comic Rick's storyline. We get a little bit of visuals and a little bit of something else with the Aaron character. We get the leader, that leader, security, protector of Alexandria. The Rick as a protector of Alexandria, that is clearly going to Michonne. There was also with Rick and Carl going to the hilltop to be the blacksmith. That's clearly going to Carol now with Carol and Henry. And with Rick and his son and Henry going out there, there's definitely going to be a remix with Carol and Comic Rick dealing with the Whispers because of Henry. Henry's going to be their captive, most likely, if they stick with the comic source material. Henry's going to be their captive. Carol's going to want to go out there. So it will likely be a mix of Daryl, Michonne, and Carol facing off with Alpha and the Whispers all together. Who gets specific lines and roles? For all we know, it could be two of them. It could be Carol, Michonne, and Alpha. I mean, with all the future is female crap going around in 2018, the one of the main things that they pitched this season was females coming out the ass, So if you had Michonne, Carol, and Alpha, right there you get three strong females, one's a villain. I could see that being something they would do, And I'm not saying in a negative way. I think some of the strong females on the roster are some of my favorite characters. I think it's stupid when people have to mention it. It's like, they're fucking characters. Get over it. Ronnie, do you think we will see Rick in the television show again? And if so, what season? Riley White asked that. And also VHS Mix asked, I know Rick will come back, but when do you think he will come back? And how long do you think The Walking Dead will last? I think, like I said, The Walking Dead, they're going to, even if it's doing terrible, it's on, bro. It's here. It's not going anywhere. They're going to run it into the ground. And if it's doing good, it's just going to continue. It's going to go on and on, like Star Trek TV shows and whatever TV shows that don't stop, whatever movie franchises that don't stop. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all those, even though when they have bad movies, Halloween, they'll come back to life eventually. The Walking Dead is the same. Right now, we're on a constant with it. One day it'll die off, but it will come back after that. As far as when will Rick come back to the show, I don't think he's ever going to come back to the show. Because if you look at the timeline and what they're doing, they have a trilogy of movies with Rick that's going to take place over the time skip, the 6 years, and explain that, which makes sense in how it fits together. Because if they deal with the Whispers over the course of 2 seasons, or 2 or 3 seasons, and that is, less than a year character time, or maybe 6 months in the character's time, then we could actually, in that timeline, we could actually be right around the corner from when Rick is going to show up. But it's going to unfold slowly for us because we're watching it over the course of, 2 years. So that's cool to think about. However, by the time we get there, it's likely going to be a different platform. AMC wants to do the streaming service, and that's why they're doing the movies. That's why they're doing other stuff to get people onto their streaming service. By the time we get to where Rick and the story's going to connect, they've already done the contracts. They want Michonne to sign the contracts. that will make it so Daryl and Carol can cross over to the movies, still get paid the same, and there's no workaround with agents. They don't have to renegotiate contracts. They are already setting it up so the show characters can go over into some big finale movie. So I don't believe Rick is ever going to come back into the show. I think if it ever gets to that point, they're going to take the show and end it in a few big finale movies. If it is more profitable for them to eventually end the show, the original show, but bring it back instantly in movies along with Rick, I think that is something they're looking into doing, because then they can start off with new characters and new things and have a new Fear the Walking Dead type show, done better, done differently, and still have these Walking Dead movies instead of having a show. Because if they have their own streaming service, they can now do whatever they want. I would imagine, I don't know all the details behind the scenes, but they can now do whatever they want as far as they don't have to rely on these 16 episodes. Who knows if they want to put them out all at the same time, similar to Netflix, or I don't know what their plan and what their structure is, but I do believe their plan right now is to take the show characters and move them over into the movie world and not bring Rick back. That could change, though, definitely. All right. We got a lot more questions, so let's end it on that one. Deanna Lives On asked, how do you feel about Magna and group in a miniseries? I love the actor and actresses. A miniseries would be fine, as long as it's not the shit they did before, where they did, here's 6 seconds of the airline. I hate that. That's such a stupid idea. Whoever came up with that idea should have been fired on the spot. Whoever thinks it's enjoyable to watch 6 seconds at a time is just an idiot. You don't even know entertainment. Get the fuck out of that job. Give that job to somebody who deserves it. You incompetent, uncreative hack. Sorry, I had to get that out of there. I don't know who in the right mind cleared that shit where it's like, hey, during commercial breaks, let's run a 3 fucking second little thing, and then fans can watch this slowly build over time in all the excitement. No, that's just such a dumb idea. You know why? Because it was boring as hell. And by the time it was over and they combined them all together, I still didn't watch The Passage. You know why? Because there's no fucking point. What does it do? You know? Give me a little bit of backstory on tunnels that our characters are going to be in for like 3 seconds. Fuck out of here. Anyway, that's all I got to say. End it with a rant. Put any questions down in the comment box. If we have time to get to them, I'll do my best. All right. Love you guys. I'm out.